guys, today I'm going to be taking you through some of my favorite books and why you should read them. Or just read in general. Put simply, it'll improve your life. Very rarely does anything with so many benefits and so few drawbacks come along. Whether you're looking for a fresh perspective or trying to reevaluate your entire life, there's a book for you. Reading will literally make you smarter. It'll improve your analytical thinking skills, it'll increase your memory, it'll expand your vocabulary, and that's just the boring stuff. Reading will open your mind. You'll find things in books that you can't find anywhere else. The power of written word is much stronger than you think, and it really is like magic. If you're feeling lonely, depressed, curious, happy, if you're feeling nothing, if you're looking for help or just looking for a good time, pick up a book. With that, here are the books I recommend. Alright, so we are starting strong with Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut is my all-time favorite author by far. He's witty, he's satire. This book might not be his best work of all time, but it's definitely up there, and I think it's just a really good place to start with him. I personally have no problem calling him a genius. I think he's one of the greatest writers of all time. His writing it seems so simple and effortless, but how much he's able to pack into it is unreal. He actually gets criticized for this, but I think that's what makes him so good. He can present these very complicated ideas in ways a 10-year-old can understand. If aliens were to land on Earth and say, give us one man, dead or alive, to be the ambassador for your species, the fate of your future lies in this man's hands, I would pick Vonnegut. He would get my vote. He got us. He just understood humanity. You won't really finish a book of his and feel happy or content. You'll feel probably a little bit frightened and confused, but you'll feel like you just got clued into something really important. But yeah, like I said, this book is easy to follow. It has a pretty straightforward plot. It moves at a decent pace. So this is where I would start, and I would definitely recommend it. But a quick disclaimer, if you read too much Vonnegut in too short a period, you might go a little bit crazy and lose your mind. But that's okay. It's not really a bad thing. I just figured I'd give you a fair warning. With that, we're moving on. Next up, we have Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And I'll just start out by saying this isn't about how to fix a motorcycle. It's a philosophy book. It's probably one of the least popular books up here, and also the most controversial. I've only read this book once, and it was a while ago, but I just remember being in awe of the parts I could understand. And that was only about half of it. A lot of it went over my head. It's a really hard read, but if you stick with it and work through it, there's a lot of interesting philosophy in here. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. A lot of people criticize it. It's not rated that high. People think the writer is kind of a condescending know-it-all, and the philosophy doesn't really add up. The logic isn't really there. But for me, it made sense, and I seem to like it. So yeah, I would recommend it. It's very well structured and well written, so it keeps you interested even during kind of the boring parts or the parts that drag. So check it out if you're into philosophy. Catch-22. This book is really special. It's considered one of the best war novels of all time, and that's saying a lot. Since it's a war novel, you might think it's dark or depressing, but most of it isn't. A lot of it is actually really funny, and it'll have you laughing out loud, literally. It does get pretty serious, but that's towards the end, and even that part's good. But when I was reading reviews for this before I read it, a lot of people were saying just how funny it is, and I was thinking how funny could a book really be? But yeah, the answer is very funny. You could easily compare this to, your favorite comedy TV show or movie, and you'll laugh just as much, if not more. It really holds up. I would honestly go as far as to warn you not to read this in a public space, unless you're okay with, kind of looking crazy, hysterically laughing at a book. It's kind of weird. But yeah, if you're okay with that, read it in public. just read it. I mean, anywhere. It's great. While it is funny, it's not just funny. It gets pretty dark, like I said, and it captures the absurdity and kind of depressingness of the war really well. I don't know if there's a book that'll have you crying with tears of laughter and then crying with tears of sadness in the same 500 pages, but this one does it, and it's great. It's just a very solid book. It's long, but it's worth it. If I had to choose one book out of every book I've ever read that is my overall favorite, it would be this one. Good Omens is just the whole package. The books I've mentioned so far I love, but they might not be for everybody. I can say with confidence that I think most anybody would love this book. It's really easy to read, it's happy, it's optimistic, it's very quotable, it's just so endearing. I don't really have that much to say about it. It kind of blends a few different genres together really well. They do a good job. So I think it really appeals to a lot of people. I mean, your mom would love it, your boss would love it, a child would love it. Two great minds combined to tell this story, Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It's being made into a TV show in the near future. I don't know when it's coming out, but if you read it, you have that to look forward to. And I would kind of say it's kind of the opposite of Kurt Vonnegut. It's, not as soul-crushing, a little more happy. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's really it's a great book. Check it out. Fahrenheit 451. This book didn't really blow me away. It's not one of my favorites, but I just had to put it in here because, it's about reading, so it fits. It's a future dystopian novel. If you've never heard of it, you may have read it in school or something, but out of all the other popular future dystopian novels like 1984 or Brave New World, this one's probably my favorite. It rings the most true, I think. Two big topics talked about in this book are conformity and addiction to entertainment. Bradbury portrays a world where people would rather just consume themselves with meaningless entertainment and destroy anything they find offensive or intellectually stimulating. People choose not to engage with these things because it makes them uncomfortable, and they'd rather just choose the easy option like watching TV or something. They just want to be put in a bubble and be completely absent of any real thought. So there are a lot of parallels you can draw from this book to today's society, but I like how it also showcases that the problems we're experiencing today aren't necessarily all that different from 60 years ago when this was written, contrary to popular belief. Basically, this book just says what I'm trying to say in this video and so much more in such a better way. It's definitely worth a read. It's not very long. He actually wrote it in, I think, 10 days. So yeah, definitely check it out. And finally, we have The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. If Kurt Vonnegut's busy when the aliens come, we can send Douglas Adams. He'd be a respectable substitute. These books are based on a 6-book series. Each one is as good as the last. And I feel like the series was just written for me. It's silly, it's absurd, it's existential, and it's just so much fun. What amazes me about this series is how he starts all his books with these grand questions or, propositions he tells you he's going to answer by the end of the book. And I don't know how, but he always manages to satisfy in the best way. All these books, they kind of have their own full story arcs, so you don't have to read every single book to get the full story. It is necessary to start from the beginning, but don't be intimidated by the 6 books. Just pick up the first one, and if you like it, then you have 5 more to read. In these books, you'll find out that humans are only the 3rd smartest animal on Earth. What else? You'll find out God's last message to all of creation, and you'll find out the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. So if that doesn't... Oh, you'll also learn how to fly. So if that doesn't convince you, I don't really know what will. That's all I got, guys. I know I didn't really mention the plots of these books too much, but to me that never really matters. It's not like a movie or a TV show where they rely real heavily on what it's about or what the plot is. At least these books. I mean, it's more about how good the writing is and what's hidden between the lines, so to speak. But yeah, you can live your whole life cluing into a small amount of the ideas and insights laid out in these books. Or you can just read them and become lifetimes wiser. I mean, you could read all 6 and become as smart as me, so that's an option. But yeah, pick one of these up, pick any book up. You won't regret it, you won't be disappointed. And that's all I got for this one. You can check out the book I wrote in the link in the description. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video.